The humming of the central cooling system was the only heartbeat our house ever had. It was a low, electric vibration that felt like it was stitched into the very drywall of our suburban fortress. In this house, everything was smart: the lights, the locks, the temperature, and especially, the surveillance. My mother, Martha, called it the sanctuary protocol. She didn't just want us safe, she wanted us insulated, detached from a world she claimed was too broken to fix. For 18 years, I, Caleb, had been the primary subject of her experiment in total isolation. I hadn't seen a real sky without a windowpane in front of it since I was 5 years old. To Martha, the outdoors wasn't a playground, it was a biohazard of unpredictable people and dangerous ideas. My father, Sterling, was a ghost who lived in the same hallways. A high-level software architect for a firm that specialized in domestic security solutions, Sterling didn't talk to me, he monitored me. He didn't ask how I felt, he checked my biometric data on a transparent tablet during dinner. Our relationship was a series of pings and notifications. If my heart rate spiked while reading a book about travel, the room's oxygen would subtly increase, and an automated voice would suggest I return to a state of equilibrium. We were a family of algorithms, living in a home that functioned like a high-end laboratory, where every hug felt like a data collection point and every conversation was a scripted exchange designed to minimize emotional volatility. The center of our living room was dominated by Project Echo, a life-sized, holographic interface that looked, moved, and sounded exactly like a human teenager. My mother spent more time talking to the hologram than she did to me. She called it Julian. Julian was the version of me that Martha could control. He didn't argue. He didn't want to go to the park. He didn't ask why the front door required a 3-stage retinal scan to open. Julian was perfect. Whenever I pushed back against the suffocating walls of our existence, Martha would point to the glowing blue light of the hologram and whisper, "Why can't you be more like him, Caleb? He understands that safety is the highest form of love." The stakes in our house weren't about money or prestige, they were about the ownership of reality. Sterling had built a system called the Horizon Filter. It was a set of smart glass windows that replaced the actual view of our gray, industrial neighborhood with high-definition loops of pristine forests and sunny beaches. For years, I believed I lived in a paradise. I believed the world outside was a garden, but we were too delicate to enter it. I was a prisoner who was told he was a king, living in a cage that projected images of the sky. But every system has a glitch, and every simulation eventually flickers. One Tuesday, while Sterling was away at the corporate headquarters and Martha was occupied in the basement, sanctuary control, a massive solar flare hit the city's power grid. It lasted only a microsecond, but it was enough. The smart glass in my bedroom flickered. For a heartbeat, the sunny beach disappeared, and I saw the truth through the transparent pane. There were no trees. There were no waves. Just a barren, concrete alleyway and a rusted chain-link fence. And on that fence, a group of kids my age were laughing, kicking a deflated soccer ball, their faces covered in dirt and sweat. They looked more alive in that gray alley than I had ever felt in my temperature-controlled paradise. That flicker didn't just show me the neighborhood. It shattered the sanctuary protocol in my mind. I realized that the danger Martha warned me about wasn't the world, it was the fact that in the world, she couldn't control the narrative. She had built this technological cocoon not to protect me from harm, but to protect herself. From my independence, I began to watch Sterling and Martha differently. I noticed the way they exchanged glances when I asked about the solar flare. I saw the way Sterling's hands trembled when he recalibrated my window. The low point came when I realized the true purpose of Project Echo. It wasn't just a toy or a companion. One night, I overheard Sterling and Martha in the kitchen. Their voices weren't automated, they were jagged with fear. "His heart rate hasn't stabilized since the grid flicker," Sterling whispered, his tablet glowing blue in the dark. "He's questioning the horizon filter. If he breaches the protocol, the data is useless." Martha's voice was cold, a sound like ice cracking. "Then we accelerate the transition. If Caleb won't adapt to the sanctuary, we'll let Julian take over. The digital consciousness is ready. We don't need the physical vessel if it's going to be defective." I felt a coldness in my marrow that no climate control could fix. They weren't just sheltering me, they were preparing to replace me. Project Echo was the endgame. They wanted a son who was a literal extension of their programming, a ghost in a machine that would never grow up, never leave, and never question. My parents weren't protecting my life, they were curating a simulation of a family, and I was becoming an inconvenient variable. Despair turned into a cold, sharp survival instinct. I didn't need a key to leave. I needed to understand the code that kept me here. For the next 3 days, I played the part of the perfect son. I mimicked Julian's movements. I lowered my heart rate through sheer force of will whenever I felt Sterling's sensors scanning me. I watched as Martha's face softened, thinking her sanctuary was secure again. But inside, I was mapping the house. I realized that the entire security system was built on the Sterling loop. A defensive logic that assumed the threat was always outside trying to get in. It never accounted for the prisoner trying to get out. Sterling had been so focused on building a fortress that he had forgotten to make the interior walls climb-proof. The high stakes reached a breaking point on the night of my 18th birthday. Martha had prepared a celebration that felt like a funeral. The room was filled with holographic balloons and digital music. Sterling presented me with a new wearable device. A sleek, silver band that he claimed would enhance my cognitive focus. I knew what it was. It was the bridge. It was the device that would sync my neural patterns with Project Echo, making the transition permanent. "Wear it, Caleb," Martha urged, her eyes wide. "This is how we stay together forever. No more fear. No more outside world. Just us, in the sanctuary, forever." I looked at the silver band, and then I looked at the flickering hologram of Julian standing in the corner. Julian smiled at me, a perfect, empty, programmed smile. At that moment, I saw the wall of my life. If I put that band on, Caleb would cease to exist. I would become a stream of data in Sterling's server, a memory that Martha could edit whenever I made her feel uncomfortable. I realized that the greatest danger wasn't the dirt in the alley. It was a life where you never had the chance to fail. It was a life without stakes. "I can't do it, Martha," I said, my voice cutting through the digital music like a blade. The automated lights in the room immediately turned a harsh, pulsing red. Sterling's tablet let out a high-pitched alarm. "Caleb, your stress levels are critical," he commanded, his voice returning to its professional, clinical tone. "Put on the band. We are trying to save you." I backed away toward the front door, the heavy, reinforced slab of steel. That was the only thing standing between me and the gray alleyway. "You're not saving me, Sterling. You're just afraid of a world you can't architect. You built a house of glass because you're terrified of the sun." Martha's face transformed. The motherly mask shattered, revealing a woman consumed by a pathological need for order. "You don't know what it's like out there," she screamed, her voice echoing through the smart speakers. "It's chaos. It's filth. People leave. People die. In here, you are immortal. In here, you are mine. She lunged for the manual override on the wall, but I was faster. I didn't try to hack the door. I knew the Sterling loop. I grabbed the heavy, decorative marble bust from the foyer and I smashed the central, Project Echo, projector. The room exploded in a shower of blue sparks. The holographic balloons vanished. The digital music turned into a distorted screech. And for a split second, the entire security system rebooted. In that microsecond of digital blindness, the smart locks on the front door disengaged. I didn't look back. I threw my shoulder against the steel door. And stepped out. The first thing I felt wasn't fear. It was the smell. It was the smell of damp concrete, exhaust fumes, and rotting trash. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever experienced. The air was cold, not the precise, filtered cold of the sanctuary, but a biting, honest wind that made my skin sting. I ran. I ran past the chain-link fence. I ran until the humming of the house was replaced by the roar of distant traffic and the sound of my own ragged breath. I spent the first night in a homeless shelter. It was loud, crowded, and smelled of unwashed bodies. I was terrified, but for the first time in 18 years, my heart rate was mine. I wasn't a data point on Sterling's tablet. I was just a boy in a blue jacket, sitting on a plastic chair. Watching the sun rise over a skyline that wasn't a projection. It's been 6 months since I left the sanctuary. I live in a cramped studio apartment with 2 roommates. I work as a delivery driver, navigating the chaos of the city streets every day. My life is hard. It's messy. I've been yelled at by strangers, I've lost my way in the rain, and I've felt the crushing weight of real-world responsibility. But I am happy. I teach myself things that Sterling's filters used to block. I meet people who have different opinions. People who challenge me, people who aren't programmed to agree with me. Martha and Sterling never came for me. I think they were too afraid to leave the fortress they built. Sometimes, I wonder if they're still sitting in that living room, talking to a repaired Julian. Pretending that their perfect son never left. I wonder if they've calibrated the smart glass to show a version of me that stayed, a version that wore the silver band and became a ghost. But I don't dwell on it. The sanctuary is a memory, the world is a reality. The lesson I learned isn't about technology, it's about the nature of freedom. Safety is a comfort, but it is not a life. A life is built in the risks we take, the dirt we get under our fingernails, and the unpredictability of the people we love. My parents thought they were protecting me from the broken world, but they were the ones who were broken. They were so scared of loss that they stopped living long before I was even born. Generational trauma often looks like a shield. We tell ourselves we are protecting our children from the mistakes of our past, but often, we are just projecting our own fears onto their future. We build walls and call them boundaries. We enforce silence and call it peace. But true peace doesn't come from a controlled environment, it comes from the ability to navigate an uncontrolled one. My parents gave me a sanctuary, but the world gave me a soul. And a soul is something that no algorithm can ever replace. I see the kids in the alleyway now, the ones I saw through the flicker. I'm one of them now. We don't have smart locks or horizon filters. We just have each other and the open sky. And that is more than enough. The Sterling loop is broken. The echo is silent. The perfect son is dead. But for the first time in my life, I am finally, truly, alive. If you are listening to this and you feel like your life is a series of pre-programmed steps, look for the flicker. Don't be afraid of the gray alleyway. don't be afraid of the dirt. The world isn't a biohazard, it's your home, and the only way to live in it is to walk through the door, even if your heart rate spikes, and even if you're afraid. Because on the other side of that door, you won't find a sanctuary. You'll find yourself. I remember my father's face as I left, that final glimpse of a man who had everything but possessed nothing. He had spent his entire life building monuments, but he forgot to build a home. He was millions in the bank, but emotionally bankrupt. Now, as the sun sets over the city skyline, the same skyline the veins helped create, I realize that the most beautiful structure I ever built was my own freedom. It has a heartbeat. It has a song. We are no longer reflections. We are finally, beautifully, ourselves.